All right, welcome. Dad did what? Yeah, I hear it all the time. Kids, family members. I love doing everything. And if you're interested in doing everything, come join me. We'll do some cooking, we'll do some creating, do some traveling, but always be interesting because I'm into everything. So I got a new countertop still. Can you believe it? I got a countertop still. And I thought we should start with, what everybody's thinking about, right? Gummy candies. We should make some gummies. So that's what I did. And I'm going to show you how. I'm going to show you a couple of easy ways to how to make it. This will be fun. To be fair, I did distill some water. So we're going to use that distilled water today to make our gummy candies. So if you're excited as I am to be able to make your own gummies, I'm telling you, they're cheap, they're easy, everybody can do it. Most of the stuff's in your pantry, if not all of it. Stay tuned. I can't wait to show you these gummies. All right. Now that you're back, let's take a look at this. Gummies. Super easy. Jello. Everybody's got it. 3/4 cup measure. Funnel. Squirt bottle, for like grilling. Bucket, Walmart. And then, you ever seen that Knox gelatin? The unflavored gelatin in the red box that your grandma always used to have. So they come in packs of 4s, 8. Anyhow, they're 21 grams. So if you're using bulk gelatin, you need 21 grams of an unflavored gelatin. Beef gelatin, Knox gelatin, anything unflavored. Got about a 250 bloom. Look it up. It's how much water it absorbs. But anyhow, this is it. We have a skillet and a little cooktop. And this is all we need to make the gummies. All right, I'm going to start with 3/4 cup of distilled water. You could use tap water. I'm going to use distilled water because I've got it. And I want to keep as many impurities out as I can. I suppose you want to know how we're going to mold these. To mold these, I got these molds at Hobby Lobby. There's dinosaurs, bears, little ducks. I've had these for a long time. I've used them for different stuff, casting chocolates, things like that. But today, we're going to make gummies. And I have played with different recipes, but this one's the easiest one to get started. So 3/4 cup of, like I said, distilled water. Then we're going to add our gelatin. 3 packs, sprinkle it over the top. Our plain gelatin first, and I'm going to probably make a mess doing this, but that's all right. It's part of the fun. On top of this stuff, you need a rubber scraper. It's the easiest way to move this stuff around. All right, got our rubber scraper. We'll stir this in because we want to get it all hydrated or bloomed. That's what you have to do with gelatin is you put it in cold water or cold liquid, foreshadowing, cold liquid, and it'll start to suck it up. You want to mix it up real good, and it'll get kind of thick. And we haven't turned any heat on yet or anything. So this is just us blooming this gelatin, getting it ready to go. So once that's in, then we get our Jello. I got the Walmart brand. Put our Jello mix in there. Somebody in the comments is going to ask, what if you want sugar-free Jello? Well, then use sugar-free Jello. Use whatever you want. It's not going to make any difference in this particular recipe. That flavored gelatin is designed to set up. We just reduce the water, and we've added a little bit more thickener by adding 3 packets or 21 grams of unflavored gelatin. So now that all that stuff is mixed in, you can see it's pretty well mixed in. We're going to turn our temp on, but only to 160. I mean, I've got this hot plate down all the way it'll go. And we just want everything to combine. So we're going to stir it. And with these induction cooktops, they warm up quick. Don't go crazy here. You just want everything to dissolve. Now, gelatin will dissolve between 105 and 110 degrees. So it doesn't take a lot. But we also want to mix in our sugar. We want that to be all the way dissolved and incorporated. Plus, when we go to put this in a squeeze bottle, we want it to be able to flow very well. So we don't want it real close to the gel point of the gelatin. We definitely want it a little bit warmer. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep warming this up a little bit until we can get it to fully integrate. So it only takes a couple minutes. Now, one thing you may or may not have, so I'm stirring this, stirring. One thing you may not have is an infrared thermometer. You don't want this to boil. These are pretty handy. It's already up to the temperature that I need, so I'm going to turn this off and actually unplug it. It goes that quick. You can do it in a small pot on the stove, just enough to get everything to combine. And you can see that everything's pretty well melted together here. So our next step is to get our squirt bottle ready. Get our funnel in it, and we're going to put this in the squirt bottle. All right, we're going to get our squirt bottle ready here. Got a funnel, and I'm going to very carefully pour this sugary syrup jello liquid into the squirt bottle very carefully, because I do not want to burn myself. If I could possibly help it, that would be great. Done that before. It's not very enjoyable. Put this out of the way for a minute. We're going to put the lid on this, and then get some stuff out of the way here. We'll start squirting these candies into the molds. So give me just a second. I am going to move this, and that way you'll be able to see me fill the molds. Sound good? Good. All right, so I've got these molds set up, and you can let this cool down for a few minutes. It will be pretty warm. The first glug, squirt, I don't know, may go crazy, but I've got it set up here so you can see, and the first couple flow very, very well. Make a mess on your countertop, but I'm going to give you a secret here, right? This is all sugar and gelatin. It dissolves at a very, very low temperature. Run hot water in your pan, let it set for an hour, you're good. Probably won't even take that long. Run that same warm water through your funnel. Piece of cake. Everything's clean. Your little molds, that's right. Run some warm water in them. Not a problem. And you might spill a little bit. You'll get in the rhythm of filling these. Everything cleans up easy. And these molds, like I said, Hobby Lobby, a couple bucks a piece. Nothing hard. No crazy flaming sugar candy making going on. I figured I'd try a few different molds to show everybody how easy this actually is. You can take a lot of time and carefully put it all in there, but that's it. So, next step, we let this sit for a few minutes, like 30. Then we'll come back and I'll show you where we go from here. All right, that was pretty cool, but we can do better. So, easy treat for kids, love it. What if you like wine? I like wine. I like beer. I like whiskey. Wait, we were talking about wine. Let's talk about wine. Did I make this wine? Yes, I made this wine. It's a Chilean red blend. If you guys want to make wine together someday, let me know. I'd love to do that with you. So we've got a Chilean red wine that I enjoy. It's just a blend. It's good table wine. Nothing super crazy. So along with our wine, we're going to need a couple other ingredients for this one. Sugar, corn syrup. You don't have to use corn syrup. I like to use a little bit. I think it adds a little bit better mouthfeel. So it's about 100 grams of sugar and about 50 grams of corn syrup. Of course, we're also going to have to bloom our gelatin. We're going to bloom our gelatin this time in the wine. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So, recipe for our wine gummies. 100 grams of sugar. Does it have to be exact? Not exact, but it certainly needs to be in the ballpark. Since we are baking and there's some sciencey stuff that goes into that, it's important you get it in the ballpark. Now, how do we get it thick? Well, we're going to use 4 packages, 28 grams, or 1 ounce in weight of gelatin. We also need some wine. We're going to need 100 milliliters of wine. So we'll get our wine opened up. Got our sugar in the pan. We'll wait on the corn syrup. This one's not that much harder. And I don't know how much alcohol is left in this because we are going to heat it up a little bit. I cooked it well. So like I'm not a scientist, but I wouldn't think there's a lot of alcohol left in this. I would think most of it evaporates because we do leave our gummies set for a few hours. Once they've gotten a little firm and we can get them out of the mold, we will let them set a little bit. And I am going to make a mess in pretty much everything I do. That's just how this works. Okay, wine into a container to bloom our gelatin. Got to open our packs of gelatin. Okay, so we got the wine in. We will open up all of our gelatin and dump and stir at the same time because we want it all to be integrated in the liquid. We don't want a bunch of lumps if we could possibly help it. So you got to stir, 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 stir. And you'll see that that starts to get jelly and thick right away. So we're going to let that set for a couple minutes. Make sure that absorbs all that liquid. And again, the alcohol will both cook out and come out just because of us letting it set out. So it will evaporate out of the candy. 100%? I don't know. Probably. We can make up a whole bunch of them. No. All right. We need about 50 grams of corn syrup. Now, why do I like corn syrup? I'd said it gives a better mouthfeel. It's an invert sugar. And what that does is it keeps the sugar crystals from the table sugar from recrystallizing any kind of grainy. So it helps keep that nice, smooth, jelly mouthfeel, which is huge. Now, kind of like before, we need to get a little water in here. See, for this one, I said before, we haven't showed a cooking version yet. So we need to get a little water in here just to get all this moving and to get it to dissolve. And that's what we're trying to do again, is get everything to dissolve. We can do it at a slightly warmer temperature because we've got a little water in, and we're going to cook most of this water out. But we're going to get the sugar and this corn syrup to dissolve and come together. Then we're going to put our gelatin wine mixture in and melt it, kind of like we did before. Put it in to a squirt bottle, fill some molds. So that's the recipe. 100 mils of wine, 4 packages or 21 grams of gelatin. You let it bloom. 100 grams of sugar, about 50 grams or 2 ounces of corn syrup. I know corn syrup, 2 ounces would actually be about 56 grams, but we're just ballparking it, not the end of the world. And if you have a really sweet wine, you may want a little less sugar. So something to think about. My wine's very middle of the road, and I like a sweet gummy. I have tried this recipe with this wine before. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to get this to boil off, get the sugar to all melt. And you'll see we'll get really big bubbles as the water starts to evaporate out of this. The bubbles will get smaller if you cook it longer. It's part of the candy making process, depending on how hot you got it. There are different stages in candy making. Soft ball, medium ball, firm ball, and then you get into the crack stages. Hard crack is where you cook it to get hard candies. And that is about 300 degrees, 310. I'm looking to get most of the water cooked out of this. And we all know that water evaporates at 212 degrees Fahrenheit, right? 100 degrees Celsius. So once my mixture starts to get past that 220, 225, most of the water's cooked out. Not all. Not all. There's going to still be a little moisture in there. But if I can get it up to about 250, I know most of the water's cooked out. Why is that important? It's important because gelatin can only absorb so much, and we want a specific texture in our gummies. So that's why we're trying to do this. Could we dissolve it in the wine? Maybe. But then we wouldn't have any way to get the wine into the gelatin. So that's why we're doing it this way. I've tried it several different ways. Actually, I've tried it lots and lots and lots of times to try to get some recipes that work pretty well. I've seen some on the internet. Some work, some don't work so good. So I'm giving you mine. And instead of just reading a blog with information that may or may not work, I'm going to do it right in front of you. So we can do some of this stuff together. Unfortunately, I am going to eat the gummies. I wish they were there for you to eat. They're not. But certainly this is something that you can do at home no problem. It doesn't have to be wine. Maybe it's apple juice. You have to be careful with some of the tropical fruits, because some of the tropical fruits, like mangoes, have an enzyme that breaks down the gelatin. You'll just end up with like a weird soupy mess. So be a little colorful there, but apple cider, cranberry juice, cran grape. I joked about earlier, I got to still, I've had a countertop still. And I do make my own wine and beers sometimes. So we can certainly do that. If anybody wants to see, do that like, subscribe thing. This is our first video on this channel, so I'm pretty excited about it. I love sharing. I love learning. So this should be a lot of fun. For years, my family has said that I should just, record my craziness that I do every day, because it's always something. From fixing a tractor to making candy out of wine. Good stuff. So we put our gelatin in there. You can see, because of the temperature there, it gets a little foamy, a little crazy. It will melt, and it smells amazing, by the way. There's a huge aroma of red, delicious wine. You see this kind of coming together here. And we stir, 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 and it'll come together and melt. And I do keep checking my temperature. So I've got it well below boiling now. Got it down just about to where we could put it in a bottle. And if you look at this, you see a lot of foam on the top of this one. So we are going to have to try to do something with that foam, because it'll make a cloudy, yucky mess of your candy. So the trick here is we're going to let it set for a little bit. We're going to let it set for a little bit. All that impurities will rise to the top. That foam will skim over, and we'll pull that away and then drain the translucent liquid off of it. So I'm going to let this sit for about 5 minutes, and I'll see you guys right back here. All right, we're back. So I got my molds ready. I think it's a great time to have a glass of wine. Why wouldn't you? We're making wine gummies. It's the perfect time. Still good. All right, we're going to flip back over here. We're going to try to get some of this scummy yuckness off these gummies, because otherwise, again, what will happen is in the molds, it'll float to the top. It'll make a really hard, like crusty back to your gummies, and that's not delicious. So we just kind of slowly work this off the top. Remember I said once it cools a little bit, it'll all come together. And some of you are probably thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to get my pot clean? Don't worry about it. Fill it up with warm water. Right out of the tap, let it set for 10 minutes, everything's gone. No problem. But we're going to get the bulk of this goo out of here. You can really take your time and make sure you're saving every drop. The extra one gummy bear I would get by fussing with this too much doesn't concern me a lot. Right. So then we're going to pour from the clearer side, and some of the stuff will get in there, but most of it won't at this point. And that's okay. That is okay. We'll wipe some of this down. Here I am bumping the camera. Super helpful, right? We got our mixture in our squirt bottle. We have some silicone molds. Now let's get these things filled up. The process is exactly the same. Starting it makes a little bit of a mess because it flows so freely. But then you get a little squeeze and a little, I don't know, a little rhythm, I guess. Getting the temperature in the bottle to work well. I found if you don't heat your gelatin up to more than about 150 degrees, the mixture when you're all combining it, it'll cool between skimming the foam and putting it in the squeeze bottle, especially if you take a minute and rinse out the dishes that you've got dirty, because that's easier before it gets super hard. And it makes pouring this so much easier. You can squeeze and release, squeeze and release, squeeze and release, and make these beautiful wine gummies. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this mold up. I can't wait to have these. I made some last night, and between myself and my kids, they're gone. Didn't take very long. Now again, I don't know how much alcohol, if any, is left in these, because we mold them and we take them out and let them set for 6 to 8 hours, and that'll get them to firm up a little bit, give them a little more chew, like that Haribo gummy. You know, the longer you set, the more chew you get. So it's really up to you. How chewy do you want them? So I'm going to let these set right now for a little while, and we'll come back and pull them out. All right, we're back. We let these set for, I don't know, I answered a half a dozen emails, 15, 20 minutes. I can tell you, not quite a full glass of wine. Maybe we should have waited. Anyhow, I'm going to pull these over because when I was moving these around, you can see I made a bit of a mess. Is it a big deal? No, it's not a big deal. But what we're going to do is we're going to take some wax paper, paper plates, aluminum foil, parchment paper, whatever you got. Lay it down. We're going to grab one of our molds, push up, pull them out. Woo! One. Time for the oohs and ahs. Woo! Ah! So excellent. See? These are the peach ones we made. They pop right out. And it depends a little bit on what recipe you use, how long you've got to let these set till you can pop them out. But the longer you let them set, the chewier they will get. To be honest, I don't usually even worry about the wax paper. I pop them out and put them right next to, right next to where they were at. Once you get started, you just bang these out pretty quick. And I just let them sit there. 6 hours usually is about right. Bears are the same way. They just pop right out. Push up on them and they'll pop out. You got to get these all out and get them drying, because you'll feel, if you come back in 10 minutes or an hour, they'll feel cool, a little bit cool, because of the evaporation. So you can actually feel it. And the other thing I want you to see is, you see how there's a little bit of a divot now? So when you fill it all the way up, it contracts a little bit as it cools down. Hot things expand, right? We all remember that from science class. Whew, it's getting all very technical. But you just pop your candies out. You can make another batch, or just sit down and enjoy your wine. But I'm going to get these all out of here. I'll be back in a minute. All right, not a bad batch. And really, this is something great to do with the kids. You're not cooking 320-degree sugar syrup for making hard candies. Certainly a lot safer. They can help you pop them out. It's a lot of fun. Now, how about our wine ones? Well, look at that. Now, I will tell you, these have not been sitting as long, and they are a little stickier. They are a little stickier in general. If you let these set for a couple hours in the mold, they will pop right out of the mold, and you'll have a little bit easier of a time. I'm trying to do this for a video for you guys, so I am rushing it a bit. But these wine ones benefit from setting about 24 hours out. So, I might be able to get this off. So leave them in the mold for a couple hours. And then when you get them out, let them set for about 24 hours. They'll firm up very nicely. Again, those work a little bit better if we let them set a little longer. These are some grape ones I made with grape flavoring yesterday. And this is what's left. You can see the same color of the ones I made yesterday. The Dino wine ones. And now that these set, they're not sticky. They have a great chew. So good. It's wine. You ought to try it. Now the ones that we made with the peach, these are ready to go. Again, a few hours, they'll firm up a little bit, be a little chewier. But they're so tender right now. So peachy delicious. So if you make the ones from the Jell-O, you can get the Jell-O for about 98 cents at Walmart. And you're about another $1 or $1.50 for the gelatin, depending on if you buy it in bulk, how you buy it. $2-3. You have an afternoon of fun with the kids, and I highly recommend it. Now, what I'd love is some other ideas. What other things do you want me to test? What do you want me to develop a recipe for? What other shape should we get? Now, I've got a bunch of molds, but I'm curious. What would you like to see? What gummy flavors would you be interested in? Let me know in the comments. Love to hear it. And stay tuned, because we are going to do some crazy stuff. For me, it's a normal day, but I hope you enjoy. I really, really do. So, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time. Dad did what?